Greetings, good evening. Today we're going to be speaking about medicine and spirituality and the significance that they play into modern culture. Before we can understand medicine, we have to understand culture and where it's coming from. So when we're speaking in terms of bones and organs, we have to understand that those are spiritual names of those organs. I covered in a video before some of those spiritual names that are connected to that. If I was to say the god Cephalus, that's the head god in Greek culture. And the god Cephalus was trying to connect the god deltoid with the rhomboid. So you get tricep, bicep, deltoid, and rhomboid from the Greek story of Cephalus trying to connect rhomboid with deltoid. So whenever we're studying science, we're studying spirituality. When we're studying spirituality, we're studying culture, and they're all one and the same. If you are studying science, science should make you more spiritual. It should help you understand yourself. It should help you understand nature, and it should help you understand God. If science is not doing that, then you have only been studying the political and social structure of the Europeans. So we have to understand the holistic aspects that culture plays in our everyday lives when it comes to medicine and health. Now, this is a health topic. However, I do come from different angles. So sometimes you won't hear me speak too much about vitamins and eating this and eating that, because eating correctly is not an intellectual dilemma. It is an emotional one. So we tend to eat for emotional reasons, not for intellectual reasons. No one goes to McDonald's for intellectual purposes. They go to McDonald's for emotional reasons. So McDonald's doesn't sell nutrition. McDonald's sells emotions. So to understand European culture or Western culture, you have to understand the mind of that culture, which creates it. So, and to understand that mind, you have to go into their myths and understanding how they play out certain characters and what they see the world as. So from their standpoint, they call the God spirit or the earth spirit Gaia. And Gaia had a child named Uranus. And Uranus actually married his mother, Gaia, and they had a child. All right. So, and you'll hear about these stories within Sigmund Freud. He talks about this in his psychology notes and books. So Gaia had a child with her son named Uranus, and Uranus and Gaia had a child named Kronos. So eventually, Gaia grew upset with Uranus and had Kronos kill his father, Uranus. And when he killed his father, he was told to chop off his genitals and throw it into the ocean, into the sea. And from that, when he threw his genitals into the sea, this is when the mermaids, or the genitals of regeneration, represents the mermaids that was birthed from that. So the goddess Aphrodite was birthed from that. And the sign the goddess Aphrodite represents the sign of Libra. So when we're talking about Greek culture, we're talking about mythology, we're talking about medicine, we're talking about modern day culture and how that affects everything today. So that's where the mermaid story comes from Aphrodite, which is the sign of Libra today. Kronos married a woman named Rhea, and Kronos was known as a guy who would consume or eat his children. Just kind of giving you some of the sick-mindedness within these mythology stories here. So he was a cannibal. He would eat his children, but Rhea wanted to spare a particular child, so she gave Kronos a rock that was wrapped up in swaddling clothing, and fed it to Kronos, and Kronos thought it was one of his children. So when he ate this rock, he was confused, and from there, the god that we know as today as Zeus was spared from that cannibalistic act from Kronos. So Rhea spared her child Zeus, and from Zeus you get the pantheon of gods from Mount Olympus. Now Mount Olympus is we call the pantheon, which had 12 different gods, which you may call the 12 zodiacs or the 12 disciples or whatever. And from there you have the different gods like Hestia, Aphrodite, which we mentioned, Hermes, which is Gemini, Apollo, which is Capricorn. So those are different gods. Apollo was the god of music, represents the god of music. So Capricorn represents the god of music, or that time depiction. So this is why you have the Apollo Theater up north. So it represents entertainment, or to muse, or to entertain those, or music with music. So the pantheon consisted of these 12 different gods, and from there you have we have a whole entity of what we say gods and goddesses that had something that other people didn't have, which is fire. That's what I'm getting to. And fire was the main thing that was able to allow the gods to build and construct things or whatnot. So there was one particular god that was very highly intelligent, and his name was Prometheus. And Prometheus is the god represents the engineer, or the intellectual one. And the word Prometheus literally means forethinker, the one who thinks before. So, and Prometheus had a dumber brother, or less intelligent brother named Epimetheus. And Epimetheus was Epa means after thinker. So Epimetheus means the dumb one, because the one who reacts to things in life is considered dumb, whereas Prometheus is the forethinker, the one who plans. So Prometheus was able to trick Zeus, and when he tricked Zeus, he gave him a certain food which was covered in cow fat, and he gave it to Zeus to consume, to eat. Now Zeus thought it was a different meal that he enjoyed, but which it wasn't. And when Zeus was busy eating the food, Prometheus went ahead and stole fire from Zeus and gave fire to mankind, so man can build machines and technology. So Prometheus is the one that was depicted as stealing fire from the gods and giving it to man. So this is why you see during the Olympics the fire torch that's carried around throughout the Olympic Games, track and field and whatnot. So when Zeus discovered that Prometheus had stolen fire from the gods, or from him, Zeus was very upset. So he had Prometheus, which is the sign of Aquarius, tied up to a rock. Now remember, in astrology, Zeus represents Leo and Prometheus represents Aquarius, which they are actually polar opposites in the zodiac chart. So when he stole the fire, Zeus was upset, so he chained Prometheus to a rock, and he called for the undergod, which is the god of Hades, which is depicted as Scorpio today. Hades came in the form of an eagle, and as an eagle, he would go to Prometheus every day, and he would take his beak and peck at Prometheus' liver every day. And this is where we get the phrase, "Why are you always picking on me?" from. So the story of this comes from why we say when someone's messing with you a lot, "Why are you always picking on me?" Because Hades was always pecking at Prometheus' liver. Remember, Scorpio has 3 different signs. It's depicted as a scorpion, an eagle, and a phoenix. The only other sign that has 2 different or more animals is the sign of Cancer, which has the dung beetle and the crab. Um, so the thing about this story is, since Leo and Aquarius are Zeus and Prometheus are polar opposites in the zodiac, they represent 2 ends of the spectrum, is what I'm saying here. And when you understand this story a little bit more deeply, you'll see that when Sigmund Freud talks about psychology, he breaks it up into what we call the id, the ego, and the superego, which in astrology or zodiac, you would say that's your sun sign, your moon sign, and your ascendant sign. So the id, the ego, and the ego represents, the id is the animal self, all right, which is locked into itself. And the ego is the human self, which is locked into itself, that's trying to unlock the animal self, which is locked into itself. And the superego is the parent of the 2, that's trying to control the human self, which is locked into itself, which is trying to control and manage the animal self, which is locked into itself. So you see the confusion here of trying to control self. So the superego would represent what we call society today. You see? So society is the parent of us, as they would like to believe. So when you understand the story here, since I said that Leo and Zeus, or Prometheus, are Zeus and Prometheus are opposite ends of the spectrum, what it's saying there is that you are your other self. That's your other self or alter ego. So what I'm saying here is Zeus and Prometheus are essentially the same character. And what that means is you cannot be trusted with yourself. So society says, I'll step in and parent you, which they call the government, you see. And the term minority has nothing to do with least in population. The term minority comes from those who are minors in thinking. So a minor is what you call a child. This is why when you go to court, they can take you and you can hire an attorney. Even though you may be guilty, you can break a ritual of truth with an attorney who can break a ritual. Therefore, truth does not exist in this society. Truth is only what can be proven. Truth does not exist as an entity as a whole. Therefore, you can hire someone who can break a ritual of truth by telling a lie and be free, you see. So if you're not, society is saying if you're not intelligent enough to break this ritual, so therefore you'll be punished for it. So therefore you're considered a minor in thinking, or a minority. So truth is not an actual thing in Western society, whereas in African culture, truth is one thing. It cannot be broken with a spell, or a lawyer, or an attorney, or anything like that. Hoping I'm making some sense here. But what I'm saying is we have to understand the cultural relevance of anything that's coming to us today and question it and where it's coming from. Because if we don't, we'll see everything as harmless. We'll see it as just something to go along with, not understanding the mind that creates these entities, and understanding the harm that could be done if we don't attach spirituality to all things that we do. That's with food, that's with everything we do. So I'll end the video here. Like I said, I'll be doing some actual formal presentations. All these videos I do like this are just straight off the head, so I'm just going basically from information that I'm not even really thinking much about. It's just I'm going through it because I just know it really well. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Love to hear back from you guys. If there's any information or videos you would like to hear about on culture or health, I'll be more than happy to take those requests and speak about those things. So with no further ado, you guys have a good night.